Now there's a big question that I should ask myself, which is the following here. To what degree is peer production applicable to the physical sphere? It's a very important question. So let me say the following. In this slide, what you see is that I believe that the immaterial sphere is becoming more and more important. I think that's pretty clear. And within the immaterial sphere, I believe that the peer production will become more and more important compared to the closed proprietary modes. Now, think about material production. Material production has two aspects. Yeah, you need to build the thing, and you need to design the thing. But designing, or making software, or writing an article for Wikipedia is the same. Yeah. So we can actually have open designs even for physical production. So I don't know who mentioned the Rocky Mountain Institute with their open source car. I didn't know about that one. I know about another one in the Netherlands, which was shown in April at the Automobile Show. The first, I thought it was the first open source design car. And they say it will be produced in 2011, physically produced in 2011. Now, of course, you still need capital to produce the physical goods. So I make the following distinction. Within the immaterial sphere, we'll have non-reciprocal peer production. Yeah? Wikipedia, if you write for Wikipedia, you voluntarily engage, you don't get anything in return. There's no direct reciprocity. It's non-reciprocal. Within the material sphere, we need reciprocity because we have limited resources, so if you take something out, you deplete it, it needs to be, you need something else, right? So there we have peer-informed modes of production. Think about fair trade. It's a market mode subjected to peer arbitrage. Yeah? The producers and consumers are considered partners, and there's an agreement between them about how to do the market. Or think about social entrepreneurship, which is accepts profit, but it's used to develop people as partners. Yeah. So we see this, and it was the same. Think about so in every mode. So we have the tribal economy, which is dominated by the gift economy, a reciprocity engine. I give you something, create an obligation, you give me something back later. We have the tributary economy, based on authority ranking. I protect the weak, and so therefore you give me a part of what you produce. We have the market exchange mode, and then I believe we'll have the peer production mode. In each of those historical epochs, we always have a mix, but a dominant logic. So we have, let's say today, we have the commodification of everything. We have pure capitalism, but we have more and more things that are influenced by this idea that things should be on the market, right? So at the same time, we have a peer production logic in the immaterial sphere and peer-informed modes in the scarcity field. So I see the following. So, and both are happening at the same time. So we have a crisis of scarcity emerging in our world today. Yeah, we are global warming, resource depletion, whatever. And this creates scarcity logics, and it creates people that are fearful and want to keep the thing for themselves and not to give it to somebody else. So this has the potential to create the same kind of dynamic we had after the fall of the Roman Empire. Yeah, a dark age, let's say. But within the immaterial sphere, we're learning a logic of abundance. We're learning that, oh, if I share, the pie gets bigger and we both win. So the idea, I think, is that we have to learn to inject the values of the immaterial sphere into the material sphere, and I believe that will be the logic of sufficiency, yeah, which is actually a logic of abundance. Yeah, if you think you have enough, it's kind of like how you translate abundance in the physical sphere. Another thing is that in the immaterial sphere we have abundance because we can reproduce things at a marginal cost. In the physical sphere, what we can do is we can slice up the material resources. Yeah, and actually there are lots of tendencies today that point in that direction. Think about desktop manufacturing, which is the trend that people can design the thing at home on the computer, and then somebody will send the thing to you, like Spreadshirt, is that the name? Threadless? Threadless, yeah. You know, there's lots of things like that. The other thing is rapid manufacturing and rapid tooling, the ability now that we had to make smaller runs, smaller machines, and to change them. Then we have something called personal fabricators, which is the ability to make 3D objects in plastic today, but tomorrow it will be metal. They're working on it. We even have a machine called the RepRap, which is built in England now. It's supposed to be ready in 2 years, which is a self-replicating personal fabricator. We have social lending, which is the distribution of finance capital. We can now lend from each other. We don't need the banks. We can actually have the direct social production of money. We can create protocols like openmoney.org, where communities are able to design their own monetary system using different protocols. Well, that's very important. Because think about it, why do we have a problem? Okay, what is capitalism? Capitalism is a protocol for eternal growth through the interest rate. Yeah, and the bank creates you a loan, 100,000 Australian dollars, but you have to give me double back in 20 years. That second half does not exist. So in a static feudal system, the Catholic Church, the Islamic religion were against interest because it would destroy the very fabric of a static society, because you have to take it from somebody else in a static pool. Capitalism says, let's grow the pie. Yeah? And this is what we can no longer do. We can no longer eternally grow the pie in the material sphere, and therefore we need to change the protocol of money. And because I don't think we'll convince Wall Street of it, what we can do is we can create experiments that actually prove that it can work. Yeah? And we now have the tools to do it. And if you look at the virtual world, Second Life, I mean, these are still like really capitalist monies, but they actually prove that you can create new monies. Yeah, in China you have QQ. There's billions of dollars of this money floating around. The Chinese government is very worried about it, but it exists. It's there. It's being created by mobile phone users, exchanging stuff with each other. All right. So I do think actually, if you follow my drift, that the kind of peer-induced logics will actually also play a very important role in the physical sphere. Yeah. Okay. One more thing. Do we need capital? Yes, we do, but not as much as we did, because if you look at Web 2.0, at the constant innovation taking place, at the enormous value being created, what do you need? You need brains and computers. But most people have that, in the West at least. Yeah, most people have brains and computers, hopefully. Hopefully they have brains. And therefore BitTorrent was created by a man with Asperger's syndrome, using fake credit cards for 2 years. And he created this enormous, valuable software system which is running all the broadband exchange. Yeah, he didn't need capital. You need capital after the fact. Yeah, so it's when you're successful and then everybody comes to your website and then your server crashes. That's when you need capital. Yeah. So again, we have a shift where the role of capital is coming after the fact, and innovation is becoming social. Innovation is becoming an emergent property of the network. Yeah, Viagra. That was a heart medication. It's the doctors who saw the hard-ons and started talking to each other and eventually told the pharmaceutical company. So the innovation happened not within, a clearly defined corporate entity. It was the result of social cooperation between the doctors. And this is happening on a global scale. More and more of innovation, Gatorade, the sports bra, email, were invented through social cooperation, not in corporate entities.